The price of loving him. Synopsis. After her father dies, 18-year-old Arya Callahan has to get used to a new reality when her mother tells her that she is getting married to a powerful, mysterious man named Sebastian Devereux. But the man her mother is going to marry isn't just incredibly good-looking, he's also dangerously attractive. At first, Arya fights it, but then she becomes obsessed and is torn between disgust and desire. Sebastian's forbidden love draws her in, and dark secrets come to light: his criminal empire, a bloody kitchen, a dangerous enemy named Marco, and a past that ties Sebastian to everything she thought she could trust. Arya's world falls apart into desire, lies, and deadly promises as she tries to choose between being loyal to her mother, getting over a lost love, and the thrill of a man she should never touch. But nothing is what it seems, not even her own heart. He was supposed to be her stepfather. But now he is her biggest temptation and maybe even her downfall. Episode 1. Arya. I heard my mom yell from the basement. I sat up in bed and put my book down next to my nightstand. I went downstairs and saw my mum sitting at the dining table with her hands crossed in front of her. I thought to myself, important business. Yes, mother. I sit down across from her and raise my eyebrow at her. Sweetheart, we have a very important dinner tonight. My mom got up from her chair and sat down next to me. I made a face that said, I'm not sure what you're feeling, as I tried to read her face. Mom, what's this really about? I asked with a little bit of doubt. I straightened up and leaned to the right to look at her. My mom reaches over and takes my hand. You know I love your dad. Mom, I whisper, my voice barely audible as my nerves start to kick in. Meet my fiancé at this dinner, my mother says as she looks down. Wait, what? Did I hear you right? You're kidding. I laugh out loud, but my mom gives me a serious look. It wasn't a joke. Please just do it for me. The dinner starts at 7. My mum begged before getting up and leaving me with questions and thoughts. I stomp up the stairs to my room, angry that my mum kept this from me. She told me that she would never get over my dad and that their love would last forever and ever. I combed my hair while tears of salt ran down my face. I don't mean to sound rude, but she should move on. It's been 2 years, and I'm ready to. I whisper to myself, this isn't helping, as I look back and forth between my two thoughts. I held the black dress in front of me and tried it on. This one is definitely not the one. I put on the other dress, which was red against my body, and tilted my head to the side to see which one looked better. How about this one? My mom's voice echoed through my room. When I turned around, I saw her leaning against my doorframe with a beautiful white dress in her hand. I'm fine, I said, clearly still angry about all this fiancé. I tried to hurry to my closet, but my mom was quick enough to grab my elbow and stop me. I turned my head quickly to look at her, and she was crying. Don't cry, I say quietly, relaxing my tense face. Maybe I'm being too hard on her. I'll put on the white dress. Thank you, pumpkin. My mom smiles weakly at me as she hands me the beautiful white dress. I'll wait downstairs, please hurry, she says, patting my shoulder before leaving. The food better be really good. I looked at myself in the mirror and patted down the white dress that hugged every curve of mine with a sweet shine. I put on my rosy lip gloss and let my hair down from the bun I had it in. As I walked outside to join my mom, my blonde hair started to flow all over the place. "Why didn't you brush your hair?" she asked before she locked the door to the house. "I got lazy." I shrugged my shoulders to show how relaxed I was. As my mom pulled into the parking lot of Maison du Luxe, a very fancy restaurant, my thumbs started to fidget with each other. My mum is giving off very happy and excited vibes as she jumps out of the car and almost flies to the doors. I, on the other hand, sat in the car and thought about what I should say or think about the whole thing. I said to myself, "You got this, Arya." I got out of the car with a smile on my face. I walked up to the door and almost tripped, but I quickly stood up straight. The doorman laughed, and I smiled back. So what if I'm clumsy? As soon as the doors opened, my mouth dropped open like an idiot. The walls are painted a light pink color with gold lines on top. There are diamonds everywhere, and rich people walk around like nothing new is happening. "Pumpkin." I heard my mom call my name, so I slowly turned around. My mom was there in her beautiful long blue dress and perfectly styled blonde hair. My eyes went to her hand, and another hand was holding hers. I slowly looked over this person. He was wearing a black suit that hugged his big biceps, which made me think that he worked out a lot. My green eyes turned into light blue ones, and my breathing got heavier. His hair was light brown and curly at the ends. His jawline was perfect, and his lips were full and slightly parted. All I could think about was how much I wanted to smear my lip gloss all over them. "Are you okay?" My mom was right next to me, looking worried, and this guy was just standing there with his eyebrow raised. "Yeah," I said quickly. We start walking towards this very attractive man, and my heart starts to race. My mom said, "This is my daughter, Arya." I held out my shaky hand for him to take. "Hi, I'm Sebastian, your mother's fiancé." Sebastian runs his finger over my hand and then shakes it, making me breathe deeply and squeeze my legs together. "He's my mom's fiancé." "Do you have to pee, honey?" my mom asked. "Oh my god, Mom, that's not cool." "I don't think so," I said, and then I hit myself in the head. I didn't notice that Sebastian was laughing, but I was still holding his hand. He looked at me strangely before I pulled my hand away from his. "Let's eat," my mom says to try to get rid of all the awkward energy. I nod in agreement. We all walked over to the table. My mom and Sebastian sat next to each other, and I sat next to my mom, trying to avoid looking into her fiancé's cold blue eyes. I mean, he looks so young, and he's already getting married. "Arya, do you have any questions for us?" my mom asked. "A few." "Go ahead and ask." His deep, husky voice was music to my ears. I blurted out, "How old are you?" "Arya, that's rude," my mom said, but Sebastian cut her off. 28, he gives me an answer. I thought about it for a second. That's a big age difference. "Mom, aren't you a little too old for him?" I said without thinking about what I was going to say. "Oh no, Arya Claire Callahan." She says my full name in an angry voice that makes me cringe. Sebastian laughed a little, but my mom gave him a look that showed she was angry, and that made him stop laughing right away. "I know, that was too much," I said. "You're forgiven," my mom said with a sour smile. "I have one question for you, Arya." The way he said my name made me want to moan. "Yes." I stuttered like a fool. Sebastian took a long pause, and I couldn't help but stare at him because of how perfect and strong his features were. "For God's sake, we're moving in with Sebastian," my mum says, and I choke on the food I was eating. I put my hands around my mouth to help me swallow the food. "You're kidding," I said as I drank some water. "Not at all." She smiles at Sebastian and then at me again. "Mom, it's only been 2 years since Daddy left." I yelled at her, and her face fell when I said my father's name. "Don't talk about your dad, Arya." My mom sounds angry and doesn't believe me. "Right now that you have your new, young husband, you forgot all about my dad, the man you loved." I yelled, not caring that we were in a nice place or that Sebastian was right there. I slammed my fist on the table and said, "Who gives a crap about him, right?" It was very dramatic. "Your dad is gone, Arya. He's never coming back. You really need to move on." My mom yells, and the coldness of her voice makes me jump. I couldn't believe how she spoke to me. My eyes were watery as they moved from my mom's to Sebastian's. There was something else on his face that I couldn't quite put my finger on, even though he looked sad. "Have a nice dinner." I quickly got up from my chair and threw my serviette on the table. "Honey, I didn't mean to." My mom tried to talk, but I cut her off. "Nice to meet you, Sebastian," I said. I stormed out of this fancy, annoying restaurant with tears running down my face. My mom didn't even try to stop me. I didn't have my dad, my house keys, or the keys to my mom's car. I'm a mess, so I started walking to the only place I knew I'd always be welcome. I knocked on my best friend's door, crying and shaking because it was so cold outside and I didn't have a jacket. Someone I never thought would be there was standing right in front of me when the door opened. "Is that you, Arya? Is that you, Arya?" I couldn't say anything, I was completely numb. First, the whole dinner thing, and now this. Is there any way my life could get worse? "You're back in town." My voice was barely a whisper. Caleb said, "I just got here tonight." He looked around outside, and when he saw that no one else was outside with me, his dark brown eyes met my light green ones. God, he still looks so good. This was a mistake. I tried to turn around, but Caleb was quick enough to grab my wrist and pull me against his chest. My breathing got heavier, and my hands started to sweat right away. "Don't touch me, Caleb." I pull my arm back to my side. "Just get inside," Caleb says. His voice is deeper and stronger now, and his eyes are darker than they were 3 years ago. He didn't have gel in his hair like he used to, now, it was messy and lighter. He was tanner than usual, and his style had changed a lot. "No, I'm leaving." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist again and pulled me back. "I'll drive you." "No, you're not," I said, pulling my arm away from his strong grip. "Yes." "No, yes." "Jesus Christ, I'll go with you guys." Just stop going back and forth. My best friend Maya comes up behind Caleb with a look of annoyance on her face. I said, Maya, you take me. I'm not getting in the car with him, while glaring at Caleb. Damn it. Just let me take you, Arya, Caleb yells in anger. Maya was looking down at her feet to avoid the awkwardness as if her legs were suddenly interesting. Fine, but Maya, you're coming. I started to stomp towards the car, and Maya quickly and quietly followed me. I'm in the back right now, and Maya is in the front. My best friend asked a question, and no one else was talking. What happened tonight? Maya asks. My mom. I huffed as I leaned against the car window and watched the lights in the distance turn off. Back in the day, Maya, where is he? I yelled as I barged into her room. My messy blonde hair and Caleb's long t-shirt with nothing under it but my skin probably made me look crazy. I wore dark eyeliner the night before, but now it looks like I have two black eyes. Arya, who are you talking about? Maya gets up from her bed and walks over to me slowly. Caleb, your brother. I yell. Arya, he left, Maya says as if she has known this for a long time. Those few words made my whole world fall apart. What? I asked, confused and not wanting to believe anything she had just said. He left for Louisiana 2 hours ago. Did he do something? Is that why you're looking at him? He pranked you, hey? Maya laughs. Classic Caleb. What did he do? Wait, he left an exploding confetti box at your door. My face goes pale, and everything starts to spin. She thought of all the theories, but none of them were right. He promised he wouldn't leave me, but he did anyway. He lied to me and took something I could never get back. Maya asks, Arya, why are you crying, with concern? I didn't know I was crying until she said something. Maya, I gave him my virginity. I cried as I fell apart in front of her. My legs gave out, and I fell to the floor, where she caught me. Please tell me you. My urgent nod confirming her new, correct theory cuts her off. She holds me while I scream and shout, and she puts her head on top of mine. SHH, it's okay, Maya hums. I care about him, Maya, I said through tears. SHH flashback is over, Arya, Arya. Maya's worried look brought me back to the present. Yet. My voice broke, and the sadness came back. This time, I couldn't get away from it. Are you sure you're okay, Arya? Maya puts her hand on my knee. I'm fine, I said with a weak smile. I opened the car door slowly and walked to the door of my house. I was too scared to even look back at Caleb one last time. He still has a hold on me, and now that he's back in town, it's going to be hard on my mind. I banged on the door as hard as I could to wake up my mom. Caleb's car pulled out of the driveway, and my body relaxed a little more now that I knew he was gone. I kept banging on the door until it finally opened. I don't want to hear it, my sentence stopped when I saw dark blue eyes, the same ones that make me shake all over, Sebastian's. I couldn't help but look at his bare chest. His strong chest made my eyes widen. He was only wearing sweats and nothing else. His hair was messy and horrible, and I wanted to run my fingers through it. He opened the door wider so I could walk in, but he didn't move to the side, which meant I had to squeeze through his ABS and the door frame. He decided to trap me between his chest and the door frame as I was trying to get through. His nose was almost touching mine, and his hot breath fanned against my pale cheeks. His head was slightly tilted, and his eyes were starting to drill holes into me. I held onto my thigh with my hand as I got more nervous. My lips parted, wishing I could feel his juicy, pink ones. Sebastian walked past me and leaned in closer to my ear. "Your mother was worried," he said in a low voice. I couldn't even say anything. I was so focused on how close he was to me that my mouth got dry, and I needed water. I closed my legs tightly because I felt something strange down there, and Sebastian looked down. "Do you need to pee again?" Sebastian said with a wicked grin. I opened my mouth to say something, but nothing came out. "Don't forget to lock the door, Pumpkin," Sebastian said my name so softly that it made me shiver. He winked at me before going up the stairs, which left me confused and, oddly enough, wet. I learned something after last night with the whole Sebastian thing. I want Sebastian, but not in a stepfather way. He made me feel needy in a way I've never felt before, which made me nervous. Maybe it's because I'm getting ready to move in with him. I kept telling myself, "Arya, he's engaged to your mother," as I packed up my clothes. "Arya," I heard my mum call my name in a sweet voice. I turned around with my boxes in my hands, and my mum was leaning against the door frame. I thought, what does she know about last night? "How are you doing, sweetie?" my mum asks with a smile. I let out a sigh of relief. I said very clearly, "I'm fine." I still remember the dinner where she yelled at my dad. I won't forgive her until I want to. I might be a biche, but who cares? She crosses her arms over her chest and says, "Honey, I've already said I'm sorry. What more do you want?" She is angry, and her face is scrunched up. "Can you give me a new mum?" I said as I lightly pushed her out of the way and walked down the stairs. I put my box next to all the other boxes in my mom's car. I carefully push all the boxes back, making sure to cover every inch of space. I had to fit everything in somehow. I haven't seen Sebastian all morning, all I've seen is my mum freaking out about packing and other things. "Arya, make sure to get Simba," my mum says as she stands by the car door. "He's my cat. I won't forget him." "I'm not like you, I don't forget my loved ones." I roll my eyes at her. Or should I say, husband. I smiled at her in a kind way. In a matter of minutes, I saw my mom's eyes go from light to dark. She took a deep breath and let it all out. "Just get the damn cat, Arya." She opens the door to the car and gets in. I carefully picked up Simba, my orange Persian cat that my dad gave me for my 13th birthday. "Anyway," I say as I walk back to the car. I ask, "Where's Sebastian?" in a casual way. My mum says, "He left in the morning." I buckle up while Simba cuddles up to me in my lap. I look at my mum, who is watching the road. There was no noise at all, just an uncomfortable silence. I turned on the radio and the song Fetish by Selena Gomez blasted through it. My mom quickly looks at me. She's probably getting sick of the music. She calls this kind of music nasty music. She acts like a saint, but she's has a daughter. I sang along with Selena, sounding almost like her. You got a fetish for my love. You said you didn't sing anymore. My mom smiles and quickly turns to look at me. I don't. Sweetheart, your voice is amazing. It sounds like you've been working on it. Thank Dad for my amazing voice. I copy her tone when I say amazing. My mum just frowns and keeps looking straight ahead at the road. She was right about one thing, I have a great voice. My dad signed me up for singing lessons, and he has a great singing voice, too. But after he left, I stopped singing and everything else. After an hour of awful music and uncomfortable silence, we finally got to Sebastian's house. It's not a house, it's a huge mansion. No way. I couldn't believe what I saw. Don't be rude, Arya, she said before getting out. I rolled my eyes. I opened the door to the car and got out. My mom opened the doors to the mansion like she owned the place, which makes me think she's been here a lot. A woman in a black and white maid dress came up to us quickly. I thought that was something that only happened in movies. Mrs. Devereux. The housekeeper bowed. She really did. What the hell, where's Sebastian? My mother said in a rude way. She didn't say hello or even look at her. Mom thinks she's tough and big now that her husband is a goddess and has a lot of money. I was really shocked. My mom never acts like that. I look back and forth between her and this older woman. I'm sorry she's rude, you don't have to bow. It's Vanessa Callahan, I said with a smile. And I'm Arya Callahan, but you can call me Arya. I held out my hand. I heard my mum laugh in the back, and the older woman looked down and didn't take my hand. I raised my eyebrow in interest. Is she bothering you? I turned around, and Sebastian was there out of nowhere. His deep voice bounced around the room, making the air feel thicker. I moved back a little because he was too close for my comfort. I totally forgot what he asked because his minty breath and beautiful face were too much for me to handle. No, dear, my mother says. She holds his hand tightly, making Sebastian wrap his arms around her. It was gross how hard she kissed Sebastian's lips. I stood there like an idiot, almost throwing up at the scene in front of me, until someone spoke. Miss Callahan, would you like me to show you to your room? Said the woman in a maid's outfit. I turned to look at her. Yes, please. I smiled softly, and she nodded and quickly took my arm. Don't touch, my mom growled. The woman let go of my hand right away. I turned my head quickly and gave my mum a look that said, go off. I looked my mom in the eye while I grabbed the lady's hand and smiled at her. I heard my mom say something, but I didn't pay attention. We walked up the stairs hand in hand, and I couldn't stop looking at how big and beautiful this place was. I didn't even know we were in a room. The walls were white, and the floors were light brown wood. It was beautiful and just my style. I touched the bed in the middle and the little nightstand next to it. I found a picture frame with a picture of me as a little girl with my mom. I was about 7 years old, and my mom was in her late 20s. We were happy then. I took the frame and put it in the drawer. Then I turned around. I could see that the woman was looking at me from behind. When she saw that I was looking at her, she dusted off her dress and started to walk towards the door. "Can I have your name?" I asked. She stopped and turned around slowly. "I'm Lucille," she said. "Thanks a lot, Lucille." I smiled and waved goodbye. I guess she didn't know what a wave was because she just looked at my hand moving and walked out the door. She might not have been able to wave. I put Simba on my bed, and he quickly jumped on my new, big bed. I laughed when I saw it. I put my bag on my bed and began to take things out of it. I walked around the room, putting some of my clothes in the closet and some in my drawers. I chose to go downstairs and show up after I was done. The sky was dark, and there was no light in the house. I tiptoed down the stairs in my tank top and booty shorts, but I did put on a bra just in case. I walked by a lot of doors before I found the stairs. I walked around the place until I found the big kitchen. I was so excited that I ran to the fridge. I opened the fridge with 2 doors, and it had everything you could want. I yelled, "Thank you, food goddess," and looked up at the ceiling as if I were talking to a god up there. I opened the fridge and took out a big bowl of cherries. "Thank you, Sebastian, you mean." A loud voice came from the kitchen, and it made me jump up and drop the bowl of cherries. I looked at every door in the room, trying to figure out who spoke. I walked over to the wall and flipped a switch. To my surprise, the kitchen lights came on. When I saw him, I gasped softly. Sebastian was sitting at the table with no shirt on and a cup of milk or something white that I couldn't see very well. I tried to hide how nervous I was by acting bravely. I pointed to the floor where all the dark red cherries were and said, "You made me drop the cherries." "It's not my fault you're jumpy," he said as he took a sip of his drink. "I was in a stranger's house, the lights were off, and you chose to speak in your horrible deep voice," I said, confused because I was trying to figure out how he didn't get that I was scared. Sebastian tried to fix my sentence by saying, "Stepdad's house." That makes me feel bad. I mean, I want to have been with him, and now he called me father's name, ew. I said, "You'll never be my stepdad," as I bent down to pick up the cherries. I picked them up one at a time and threw them back into the bowl. "Look at me." Sebastian's voice was low and harsh. It also got closer to me. I looked up and saw Sebastian standing right in front of me in a pair of joggers that hung dangerously low. I was on my knees looking up at him. I swallowed the big knot in my throat. He gently knelt down so that we were at eye level, which made me bite my tongue. Sebastian's eyes turned a darker shade of blue as he asked, "What are you thinking about?" I never saw this before, but he has freckles all over his face, not just light ones. I completely ignored his question and lightly traced his freckles with my fingers. This made him breathe harder. "Nice freckles," I said, still holding his cheeks with my fingers. He shivered when I touched him and spun me around so fast that I got dizzy. I was still on my knees, but my back was against his chest, and my breathing got heavier, too. Sebastian took my hand that was next to my hip and traced my finger lightly up and down my chest. It felt good all over. I closed my eyes and leaned my head back against his shoulder as he ran his finger down to my stomach. I could still feel my finger, but I was so hungry that it was driving me crazy. My finger brushed against the lace on the top of my pants, and he stopped completely. I growled very quietly. I slowly opened my eyes and raised my head off of his shoulder. Why did you stop? My voice was hoarse. Sebastian whispered in my ear, "It's time for bed, pumpkin," and I shivered. Then his heat was gone, and I was hot and wet again. I went upstairs and forgot about the cherries. I heard it when I walked by my mom and Sebastian's room. "Harder, Sebastian," my mom whispered. I heard her scream with pure desire. What a luck! I was so mad that I stomped into my room and slammed the door. I was so angry that I lay flat on my bed and stared at the plain ceiling. He turns me on and leaves me hot, and then he has sex with her. I won't let him touch me or turn me on again. I won't let myself look like a fool again. Wake up, pumpkin. My body started to shake, and I groaned as I stretched. My mum is right next to my bed right now, watching me like a hawk. "Mom, can I help you?" I say in a sarcastic tone. My mum suddenly pulls out a pink dress. "Wow, now you can pull dresses out of you. Just get ready, Arya." My mom rolled her eyes, and I looked at her like she was crazy. "Vanessa, sweetie, the sun isn't out yet, so I'm not either." I made fun of her high-pitched voice and threw the blanket over my head. Mom hates it when I call her Vanessa. She always says, "I'm your mom, call me mom," and so on. My mom yells, "Arya Callahan, get up right now," and holds up the blanket. "Fine," I said in a low voice. I got up and walked to the toilet. My mom was right behind me. "Mom, can I go to the toilet by myself?" I slammed the door in her face before she could answer. "You better be ready in 10. My mother shouts. I turned on the shower, not listening to a word she said. After my hot shower, I started on my makeup. I did my makeup wildly. She has to be crazy if she thinks I'm going to wear that ugly pink dress with pigtails. I'm going to wear the most revealing outfit I own. I changed into some shorts and paired them with a lacy pink crop top. My chest was still covered but still showing, and I smiled. I let my wavy blonde hair down and brushed it with my fingers. "Arya, hurry up," my mom yelled from downstairs. I quickly put on my shoes and went downstairs. I knew my mum would be in the kitchen, so I walked in there instead of going to the front. I leaned against the door to the kitchen and smiled as I waited for her to turn around. "Good morning, Mom." Her face went white when she saw my body. "I look that good, huh?" I said, smiling sweetly at her and commenting on her facial expression. I could almost see smoke coming out of her ears. "Arya Claire Callahan, go change right now," she screams. Her loud, annoying voice makes the house shake. No. I went over to get a green apple. Red is too basic, I like my things sour. "Go change," my mom yelled again. I put my hands over my ears to try to block out her voice. "Stop freaking screaming," I said in a loud voice. "Arya, you're out of control." I yelled back, "I don't give two flying," in the same tone as her. My mum was going to say, "Your father," before she was cut off. Sebastian walks into the kitchen with a cup of coffee and asks, "What's with the screaming battle?" I had a lot of confidence, but it went away as soon as I heard his voice. Sebastian has a very strong presence, but it doesn't work for me, it only works for him. I didn't like how weak Sebastian made me feel. Arya won't change her clothes, my mum says, annoyed. Sebastian's eyes were locked on me, and I started to feel uncomfortable, so I crossed my arms over my chest. Sweetheart, go to the car. I'll talk to her. Sebastian kissed her on the head. I was praying that she wouldn't leave, but she nodded and walked out. Damn, Sebastian stepped in front of me after my mum left, and I stepped back. I gulped nervously when he looked straight into my eyes. Sebastian says, "You're playing with fire." I step back again, and he steps closer. I like living on the edge. And the edge you'll get, pumpkin, Sebastian said. My nickname was very slow and deep. He stepped in front of me again, and I took my last step back before my body hit the wall. He put his hands on the wall behind me, trapping me in, and I whined quietly. "Mr. Devereux, you're a little too close," I said in a shaky voice. My mouth was getting dry and needed water or some other kind of hydration. He looked at me for a second before leaning down to my ear. "Don't act like you don't like me being close to you," he whispered, and I tightened my thighs. I opened my mouth to argue with what he said, but nothing came out. I wanted to shout, "You're with my mum, you jerk," but my mouth wouldn't let me. I wanted to slap his perfect face, but my body wouldn't let me move. I was stuck. He saw that I was having trouble, and a smirk appeared on his perfect, evil mouth. "Miss Callahan, you're very tempting." Sebastian leaned in close to my ear again and whispered so softly that I shivered. "And why you're very annoying." I tried to sound strong or even sure of myself, but I couldn't even pretend to be. His eyes were going through a lot of different feelings, and so were mine. The horn of the car made us both jump. He shut his eyes and ran away. I held on to my shorts to calm down after that heated moment. Jesus, give me power. I looked up at the ceiling and prayed to God. I got all my strength back and went outside. Sebastian was driving, my mom was in the passenger seat, and I was in the back seat. "Great, you didn't change." My mom rubbed her head to try to get rid of her headache. "This is going to be a long day. I hate not talking, the silence is driving me crazy." "Mom, where are we going?" I asked, feeling anxious. "Oh, Sebastian is taking us to lunch for work," she says. I'm freaking out right now. I should have just worn that ugly pink dress. His business friend is going to think I'm a whore. "Cool," I said quietly, pretending that nothing was wrong, but inside, I was screaming. The whole drive was an awkward silence. My mom didn't even say anything, which was surprising because she always had something to say. We arrived at our destination after an hour and 30 minutes. I kept track of the time. I was shocked to find out that it wasn't a restaurant but another mansion. When I got out of the car, my shorts went up a little, and I quickly pulled them down. I heard someone clear their throat, and when I turned around, Sebastian's eyes were full of desire. "You don't look so good, Sebastian," I said. He wanted to play a game, so I guess I'll play along even better. He looked confused, and I smiled a lot. "Oh dear, Are you sick? My mum checks his temperature by putting the back of her hand on his forehead and then his cheeks. I couldn't help but smile in victory. I'll take care of that later, but something just caught my eye. I couldn't help but think that his words had bad intentions behind them, even though they were so innocent. I stopped looking at him and started walking. My mom and Sebastian did, too. We got to the front of this big house, where a butler and a maid were standing by the door. Sebastian Devereux and my family, Sebastian said. I hated the sound of family. Both of them nodded, and the butler opened the door wide. I quietly followed my mom. The whole place was great. I could smell rich all over these walls. Everything was so clean and bright, unlike Sebastian's house, which was dark and shady. There were a lot of flowers and other plants here. They must really like plants or something. I think we're in the dining room because there's a big table in the middle with flowers on it. You made it, a voice from my right said, which scared the hell out of me. A man in a suit said, "You made it." He was probably a few years older than Sebastian. I saw that all men do that. Sebastian and this stranger quickly shook hands hard. Sebastian says, "This is my fiancée, Vanessa, and her daughter Aria." I shook his hands gently and smiled warmly. Salvatore Moretti. He said his name with a smile. Uncomfortable Salvatore's eyes followed my outfit, which was so bad. I looked like a whore who works the streets in her free time, but they were all dressed so nicely and modestly. "Where's your wife and daughter?" Sebastian asked. I'm glad he took the focus off my outfit. Salvatore led us to our seats and said, "My wife couldn't come, but my daughter should be here soon with her fiancé. My son and his wife will be here soon with their kids." I sat next to my mum, and Sebastian sat next to me. I was glad I didn't have to sit next to Sebastian because he would have made me act dumb and nervous. Salvatore sat across from us, and a few minutes later, his son came in and said hello. Salvatore's son lives in Norway and doesn't come to see him very often. His wife was beautiful, with red hair and a model body. I would look like an 11-year-old boy next to her. While we waited for his daughter to arrive, we kept talking about random things. "Please excuse me while I go help them with something. My daughter is here." Salvatore stood up and left the table. I turned my eyes back to my plate, which was full of big pieces of food. "So, Aria, do you like living with Sebastian?" Salvatore's son's wife asked me. When she said Sebastian's name, I froze. I didn't know how to respond to her question. Sebastian makes me doubt everything about myself. Should I tell her that? Maybe he makes me doubt how much I love my mother. I didn't tell the truth. "All that matters is my mom's happiness," I said while my fork played with my food. "You're such a good girl. I hope my daughter believes that when she's older." She smiles at the thought of her daughter getting older. I knew I was lying, but I just nodded. I was too embarrassed to look at Sebastian to see how he was feeling. "You don't feel this way about him, and you definitely don't mean it." "I guess we have one more guest," Salvatore says as he walks into the room. I look up to meet his eyes. There was a pretty brunette girl next to him whose hand was locked with someone I thought I would never see again. "Caleb," I said quietly, and everyone stopped talking as soon as I said his name. Caleb looked surprised to see me, and when I realized he was her fiancé, I felt a twinge of sadness in my heart. "Arya, what are you doing here?" asked another voice. Maya looked over her brother's shoulder. She looked sorry for him. She knew he was getting married and didn't even tell me. Under the table, my mom gently put her hand on top of mine. I felt dizzy and like I didn't belong as my whole world started to spin. How could Caleb get married? I thought we would be together forever, but I guess I'm dumb for thinking that was possible. My heart raced and my breath stopped. "Let's talk business." Sebastian once more turned the focus away from me and back to himself. We looked at each other as he tightened his grip on the fork, which made his knuckles turn white. Everyone sat down, and Salvatore put another plate on the table for Maya, who was sitting next to Caleb and his fiancée. I kept my eyes on my plate and slowly looked up to see that Caleb was already looking at me. My eyes saw some kind of feeling. I didn't want to cry in front of everyone, so I turned my eyes away from him and looked at Salvatore's daughter. She was too perfect, and I hated everything she did, even how she breathed. "Is that Caleb?" my mom whispered in my ear. I told my mum everything that happened between me and Caleb that night. The next morning, I just nodded. "Caleb, I have to admit, I've been dying to see you," she says, cutting off Sebastian and Salvatore's business talk. Everyone got quiet and looked at my mum with a confused look, and so did I. "It's not the place." Maya smiles at me as if to say, "You need to control your mum. How could she do this to me? How could she?" "Mom, I'm fine." I took a sip of my water. Sebastian was now staring at me, and he looked worried. Or maybe my head was just playing tricks on me. "No, pumpkin," my mom says and shakes her head. "Caleb, how was it ruining my daughter?" my mom asked angrily. My face turned red as I looked at Sebastian. "It wasn't like that, Mrs. Callahan." Maya stood up for her brother, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Maya always stands up for me. My eyes were drilling holes into Maya's head, and my brain kept trying to come up with reasons why she was defending him and not me. "Mom, leave it." I pulled on her arm to get her to look at me again, but it didn't work. Salvatore's daughter stood up for Caleb and said, "I won't let you talk badly about my fiancé." I was angry and stood up to protect my mom. "Don't you dare stand up and try to belittle my mother, know your place." I said this slowly so she would understand better, and I tilted my head as I said it. "Sit down, Arya." Maya then stood up, and my best friend stood up to argue with me. I can't believe her, she's supposed to be my sister, but she's defending this stupid model. "Just tell your dog to sit down, Maya, or I'll do it myself." I moved my chair back a little to make more room for safety reasons. "I like to see you try," Salvatore's daughter said with a smirk. "Sweetheart," Caleb tries to say, but I jump forward towards his fiancée and cut him off. She threw herself back to avoid my hands before I could even wrap my hands around her small neck. I start to fight back against the hands that caught me, but they tighten around my waist, stopping me from moving. I kicked and punched, but they didn't move. "Get her out!" Salvatore yells. "The business deal is off, and it's all thanks to your dumb daughter." I heard Sebastian say this behind me. I stopped and slowly turned around. He was the one who caught me. My mom is still sitting down, but she can see Sebastian's hands around my waist. I stepped on his foot, which made him let me go and moan in pain. I hate you, Caleb. I was so angry that I didn't even notice I was crying until one of them hit my arm. I quickly wiped them away and pushed past Sebastian to the door, leaving everything and everyone behind me. I ran my hands through my hair as I walked outside. I was on my way to the car when someone grabbed my hand. Please let me explain, Caleb begs. I turned my head quickly to look at him. Caleb Wolf was crying, and so was I. I couldn't help but let my eyes soften a little. Caleb gently pulled me in closer. Arya, you're the only girl I've ever liked. I love you, Arya. When he talks, my heart skips a beat, but then I remember everything he put me through, leaving me after I gave him something I could never get back and coming back with a fiancé. I shut my eyes and then opened them again. I slowly pulled my hand away from his until it was back on my side. I never want to see you again. My lips trembled, and Caleb's face fell when he heard what I said. Don't do this, Arya. Caleb takes my hand again, and his eyes are full of fear. My heart wanted me to take back what I said, hug him, and tell him I loved him, but my brain knew better. My mind showed me a picture of his fiancée from the past and everything that made me cry about him. I took my hand away. Bye, Caleb. I kept walking towards the car, and now I'm crying and my heart feels like it's been broken. It feels like I just lost something I was holding on to for dear life, but it slipped right out of my hands. I heard my mom say, "Ah, Pumpkin." She held me close. I turned around to show off my red, puffy face, which had tears streaming down it. She hugs me even tighter, and when I look into Sebastian's eyes, I see that he is conflicted, as if he is mentally fighting a battle between his heart and brain. I tore my glare away from his. I'm fine, I said and pulled away from my mom. Can we just go? I ask, but it sounds more like a plea. Of course, sweetie. My mom says, but she seems a little unsure before she says anything else. Pumpkin, Auntie Nora texted me earlier and asked if I could spend the night at her house to help her with some divorce papers. Oh. I raised my eyebrow. Mom, I'll be fine. I quickly understood why she was hesitant. She wanted to be with me because I was having a mental breakdown but couldn't. Are you sure? My mum asked. Yes. I tried to sound sure, but crying a few seconds ago didn't help. I'll go home with Arya so she won't be alone, Sebastian finally said. His voice sounded more like a demand than an offer. Please, God, let my mum say no. Thank you, Sebastian. My mum kisses him on the cheek in a sloppy way. I was going to say no and argue, but I couldn't do that anymore, so I just nodded my head. Sebastian drove us all to our house so my mum could get some clothes. I ran to my room as soon as we got there and slammed the door. I wanted to be alone for a little while to get my thoughts in order. I put on some shorts and a big t-shirt that my dad gave me before he left us. I took a candle out of one of my boxes and lit it so that my room would smell great. I never get mad at Vanilla Bean. I keep thinking about how Caleb is engaged and how my best friend stood up for his fiancée instead of me. This is going to change Maya and me forever. That trust problem will always be there. She knew how much her brother hurt me and that I still loved him, but she didn't have the guts to tell me he was getting married. I took a book off the shelf and sat on my bed to read it to get my mind off of things. When I looked down at Simba, who was snuggled up against my leg, I smiled. I chose to take a break and go downstairs to watch TV and eat ice cream. I walked on my toes into the hallway. Sebastian's office door was open, and a bright light was shining inside. I promised I was going to walk by it, but then I started to worry about ghosts and robbers. Yes, I'm that paranoid, so I decided to look inside. Arya, you should be sleeping, right? I should have kept going. I didn't answer his question because my eyes were wandering around his office. I had never been in his office before, and it was so clean and organized. I lightly ran my fingers along his wall, and my legs quickly followed. He was watching me like a lion stalking its prey, and I stopped in the middle of the room. I thought you were a ghost, I said in a whisper, and the words came out rough and deep. Is that so? He says. He had a whiskey cup in his hand with just one ice cube in it. When I've seen him drink, he always has a single ice cube in his drink. Is to so? Why are you so dumb, Arya? I slapped myself in the head. Today was interesting, Sebastian said as he leaned back in his chair and put his finger on his chin. I watched him closely, and his fingers started to scrape against his soft, honey skin. I couldn't help but look at every curve on his face. He was so hot and memorable that he made me feel hot. His hair, which was always slicked back, was now messy and free. His tie was undone, and his sleeves were rolled up to his forearm. I wanted to jump his bones right then and there. Arya. He smirks with a smug look on his face. Yeah. I swallowed hard and did my best to stay calm and sane. Who's Caleb to you? I felt my heart race as he asked me the question. Well, I couldn't say anything, I just stammered. I heard him get up and walk towards me. Arya, you need to leave right now. He stops and uses his soft fingers to lift my head. Or I'll take you to this table right now, he whispers, and I gasp. Sebastian. My lips shook as I said his name, which sounded more like a warning. He opened his mouth a little and then moved closer to my lips. He softly says, I should stop. You should. Sebastian pulls me close and kisses me on the lips. I'm shocked, but my lips quickly move with the deep, strong movements around my mouth. His tongue softly pushed into my mouth, filling it with his taste. He pulls away and rests his forehead against mine. He slowly licks his wet lips and looks right at me, both of us out of breath from the passionate kiss we just shared. I got rid of the space between us. What's next? I don't know where this confidence came from, but it did. He wrapped his strong arm around my waist, and I crashed my lips into his. I scratched his face with my hands and bit his bottom lip. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was scared that his lips would touch mine, but I wanted more. His hands moved down my back, bringing me closer to his bulge. That tongue of his could do amazing things when he kissed. He threw me on top of his desk and ripped off my shorts and panties. His papers and the glass of alcohol he was drinking from fell to the floor. He pulled me closer by my thighs, and I quickly took off my shirt while he unbuckled his jeans. "Are you on the pill?" he whispered, moving his lips closer to my ear and making me shiver. I quickly nodded. "Please beg me to trap you, pumpkin." His naughty words made my body feel hot, and the warmth of his hand on my thighs was starting to melt through my skin. I pulled his head closer to mine and lifted my body against his. "Sebastian! Do whatever you want to me," I said harshly in his ear. There was a wicked smirk on his lips when I saw him. It was like a switch had turned on inside of him. I gasped in pain as soon as he thrust deep inside me. I held on to his neck tightly while he got used to how tight I was. As soon as the pain came, it turned into pleasure. My hips rose to meet his in the hard thrust, and he hit my G-spot over and over again. "Sebastian," I groaned. He growled in Spanish. Sebastian grabbed my hair and pulled it back, making my head arch back as he thrust harder. His words were making me even more excited, and I could feel him deep inside of me, which made me feel like I couldn't breathe. I know I've slept with a guy before, but Sebastian was huge and had a lot more experience. He groaned, "You feel so good." His teeth started to nip at my neck, leaving marks, and his hand moved down my front between my lips, where he rubbed harder. I yelled his name over and over again while I let out one moan at a time. I spread my legs even wider and leaned against him to try to get some air. I couldn't hold on much longer, and he couldn't either. We were both panting like dogs and breathing hard. He roughly picked me up by my thighs, which made me wrap my legs around his body even tighter. When he slammed me against his bookshelf, all the books fell down. I held myself up by his shoulders, and my mouth was open across from his lips. Sebastian moaned in my ear, "We're not even close to being done," and that made me wet all over again. I was about to fight with him, making me throw my head back against the wall. My nails dug into his shoulder, my lips shook against his, and that sealed my place in hell. "You're supposed to be my daughter." I hear my mom's voice in my head telling me that this is wrong. What am I doing? I have to stop this right now. "Sebastian, stop," I said in a weak whisper. Sebastian pulled back a little to look at me, and it hit him like a truck. I stood there awkwardly, staring at him because I didn't know what to say after what had just happened. "Leave," Sebastian ordered with no emotion. Sebastian leaned back in his chair and typed something on his computer without even looking at me. I just betrayed my mother for him, and all he said was, "You're such a bastard." My eyes started to water. Why do all the guys treat me badly? Is it because I'm not good enough? You're such a jerk. I took my shorts and stormed out of his office. When I got to my room, I was crying so hard that my cheeks were wet. I slammed the door so hard that I thought I was going to knock down the whole house. I slid down the door while my hands ran through my blonde hair. I was a crying mess. It could have been because I slept with my mom's fiancé, or it could have been because he treated me like a whore after that. I don't like myself. I haven't left my room in 2 days, and I haven't eaten. All I've done is drink water, which is bad because a human body needs food, but I don't feel like a person anymore after what I did. For a couple of days now, my mum has been knocking on my door and begging me to talk to her or let her in, but I won't. How can I face my mom after what I did? I haven't heard from Sebastian at all. He hasn't even begged me not to tell my mum. Pumpkin, someone is here for you. My mom's sweet voice came from the other side of the door. I took off my white sheets and tiptoed to the door. I bent over and put my ear to the door to try to hear a familiar voice. It's me, Naomi. What the hell is she doing here? I quickly opened the door and threw my arms around her neck to pull her closer to me. At first, Naomi was surprised, but she quickly hugged me back. Naomi is my cousin on my dad's side. In a lot of ways, she's like my sister. It's always been me, Maya, and Naomi, but after my dad left us, she left me, too. I can't believe you're here, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. I owe you a visit, didn't I? Her thick accent came through. I missed you so much, I said with a small smile. We let go of each other but held hands. I knew you would come out of your room. My mom smiles at me, and then everything hits me all at once. I stood in front of my mom after sleeping with her fiancé last night. I felt sick to my stomach, and my smile turned into a frown. Naomi asked, "Are you okay?" She was clearly worried about my health. She gently put the back of her hand on my forehead to check my temperature. I must have looked sick. Let's all go eat at Mama's berries like we used to when you were younger, my mom said with excitement. No way, I don't want to be around you or your fiancé. That would be great. Naomi jumped up and down like a kid, and I couldn't say no. Of course, I said quietly. While I got ready, Naomi and my mum went downstairs. I chose to wear my baggy denim jacket with some leggings and a white tube top. I didn't want to make noise, so I slowly walked down the stairs. I went into the kitchen and saw Naomi drinking water and my mum sitting on Sebastian's lap. I wanted to stomp over to my mom and pull her away from Sebastian, but I couldn't because he was kissing her right in front of me. I hold the edge of my jacket tightly in my hand to keep calm. Naomi said, "You look cute." Thanks. I smile at Naomi and completely ignore my mom and Sebastian. Come on, girls. My mom started to walk with Sebastian's hand in hers. I really want to break an arm right now. Please stop. The ride in the car was quiet, and Naomi was shocked by how different it was here than at home. I kept looking out the window at the bright blue sky getting darker. Mom and Dad would take Naomi and me to Mama Berry's when we were younger. I miss my dad so much. I wonder if my dad is sad that I'm not there. My cousin and I sat together at a table outside, and my mom and Sebastian sat across from us. I didn't look at Sebastian at all. My mom asks, "So Naomi, how is your mother?" "She's doing great," she says. "I'm so sorry about my uncle, too, my mom told me about it." "It's okay, we've moved on," my mom says as she kisses Sebastian on the cheek. I squeeze Naomi's hand tighter, and she looks at me with interest. "Okay," Naomi says with a smile. Naomi asks, "Sebastian, what do you do for a living?" It takes Sebastian a while to answer, but when he does, the words come out easily. "I run a business." "Oh nice," Naomi says. "How about Maya and that guy? What was his name again?" "Caleb," I said softly. Naomi nodded quickly, and I couldn't help but look down at my lap. I don't talk to either of them anymore, I said. But you and Caleb were so cute together with your secret little relationship. She says this in awe, thinking of Caleb and me if she only knew what happened. It's over, I yelled at her. I didn't mean for my voice to sound so harsh, but it did. Naomi must have seen that my shoulders were getting tense because she quickly changed the subject. I'm so happy to see you guys again, she says with a smile. Especially with everything going on with Nora. Talking about her, she's been really sad, my mum says. That's awful. My mom says, I was wondering if you could come with me to see her. She hasn't been eating or going out. Naomi, she would be so happy to see you. That means they're leaving me alone with Sebastian. I have to do something to keep them there. Of course I will, she says, smiling warmly at her. Naomi is always too nice for her own good. Mom, do you have to go? I asked. Please tell her no. I can't be alone with him again. Yes, dear, she says. We kept eating without talking. I didn't even try to talk to Sebastian or look at him, I just couldn't. Naomi was talking about her college and some things that have been going on in her life lately. I was trying to come up with a way to get out of being home alone. Sebastian said to my mom, I have to take this phone call. She nodded. Sebastian went outside, far away from us. I was curious why this phone call was so important. He usually ignores his calls when he's with us. I couldn't help but lean over the table a little to try to hear something, but I didn't hear anything. After a few seconds, he ran inside and grabbed his coat off the chair. I'm sorry, but I have to go. Something went wrong with my work package, and I need to take care of it. He kissed my mom and turned to face me. I called an Uber to take you home. He left the restaurant quickly. Sebastian is acting strange, which is strange. While my mom and Naomi ate their delicious meal, I played with my food with my fork and thought about how quickly he left. My mom didn't even think it was strange. After we were done eating, we all walked out of the restaurant. My Uber was waiting around the corner, and my aunt was parked right outside. I could never go with my mom to see my aunt because she hates me. I said goodbye to my mom and gave Naomi a quick hug. I whispered in her ear, I love you, Naomi. I love you too, Pumpkin, she whispers back. I walked slowly to my Uber and got in. I was confused, angry, and tired because I had so many thoughts in my head. The drive to the house was quiet and peaceful, and I liked it. If my dad ever called my mom, would she tell me? I quickly tipped the Uber driver and then walked to the front door. When I got there, I stopped because the door was slightly open, which was strange. When I pushed the door open, my hands were shaking. Hello? I yelled, but no one answered. When I went inside, it was so dark that I was even more scared. Sebastian. My voice was shakier than I wanted it to be. I was scared out of my mind right now. I went into the dark to look for the light switch. My hands shook as I reached over and tried to turn on the lights, but they wouldn't work. I whispered to myself, it's okay, Arya. Everything is fine. I grabbed my phone to use as a torch as my legs fumbled around on the wooden floor. I heard someone having a hard time, and the sound of glass breaking made me jump. It was coming from the kitchen, and my hands and breathing got heavier. I looked up at the ceiling and said a quick prayer before I opened the kitchen door. I turned on the light on my phone and shone it in the kitchen. Oh my God! I yelled when I saw what was in front of me. There was blood all over the kitchen, glass everywhere, and pots and pans all over the floor. Sebastian was dragging a dead body across the tile floor. Sebastian looked at me, and I was shaking with fear. Tears started to fall down my face. I put my hand over my mouth because the food I ate a few minutes ago wanted to come out. Arya. He dropped the body and walked a few steps towards me. I backed away in fear and almost tripped over a dead body. My hands went up to my head and pulled my hair. What the hell is this? I yelled in anger. Pumpkin, look at me. He held my face in his bloody hand and made me look at him. No, I said, pushing his hands away. The blood stained my pale cheeks. I heard more footsteps behind me, and Sebastian reached behind him and pulled out a gun. I screamed, "What?" with all the air in my lungs and my hands around my neck. There was something cold against the side of my head, but it couldn't have been Sebastian because he was right in front of me. Well, isn't this cute? A stranger said behind me. My body froze in fear as I gripped this stranger's forearm tightly. When I looked up at Sebastian, who was pointing his gun at me and the man, my lips shook. Let her go, Marco. His voice was rough and deep. He sounded like he was possessed by something dark and scary. I've never seen this side of him before. Sebastian, you didn't tell me your stepdaughter was hot, Marco said in my ear, just loud enough for Sebastian to hear. Marco, this guy, slowly lowered his hand down my thigh. I was disgusted. Your tears are making me even more hot stuff, I whined when I heard his nasty voice. Look at me, Arya. You're fine, Sebastian said, nodding at me. I felt a little better, but I was still scared. He'll never stop looking for you, Sebastian, especially now that you have a new family. He laughed. Thanks for the fun, Marco. Bang! The man who was pointing the gun at my head fell to the ground, and blood sprayed all over me, especially on my shirt. I slowly ran my hand over my face to try to get the blood off. I felt sick and confused. He could have shot me if he missed. I mumbled, you couldn't have done that sooner. Arya, focus on my finger. I didn't even see him until he spoke. He moved his index finger in front of me. His finger caught my attention. You just killed him. You could have missed and gotten me, arsehole. I started to hyperventilate and crawled on my chest for air. Should I bring him back to life? He was going to kill you. He says this angrily before kicking the dead body lightly. He just kicked someone dead. Who the hell are you? Sebastian moved closer to me and said, Arya, you know exactly who I am. Stay there. I yell, telling him to stay where he is. I don't know who you are, look at all the people you just killed, I yelled, pointing at the bloody handprint on the wall. I was really angry, but mostly, I was scared. They were bad people, Pumpkin. He hissed, getting angry at everything. And you might think I'm a bad person too, you crazy person. Beep beep. Sebastian held his phone up to his ear. Come clean up this right now, he yells very loudly and then throws his phone on the counter. You lied to my mum, I said in a low voice. He looked up at me. This is a lot more than just with her daughter. He was going to say something, but he stopped. I can't believe this. You're going with me out of town, and don't even think about saying no. I swear I'll kill that pathetic cousin of yours. His voice was full of rage. I couldn't believe what he said. How could he do this to me? He's a monster, a killer. You kill people. He grabbed my cheeks hard with his bloody hand, and my face hurt from how tightly he was holding me. And I always do what I say I'll do. His chest rumbled as his eyes got darker, and his face became unrecognizable. I'm only keeping you alive because I love your mother. I said in a teasing tone, you love her so much that you've been with her daughter. He let out a big breath. A voice I know well says, Boss. Sebastian's mouth twisted into an evil grin before he threw my chin back. I was so scared that I couldn't turn around, so I just relaxed in the arms that I knew so well. This person turned me around so that I was facing the front of their chest. Caleb? I asked. He gently lifted my chin so we could look each other in the eye, and I was shocked. You said she wouldn't find out, Caleb said angrily. What the hell? Caleb knew all along that my mom's fiancé was a killer, but he didn't tell me. Sebastian said, things just changed, boy. Caleb made a fist, and his knuckles began to turn white. I don't want to go with you. I turned around and looked at Sebastian again. He laughed. I didn't ask you, you whore. I looked at him in disgust, and I could feel the tears coming, but I quickly looked down at the floor to keep myself from crying. Caleb pushes me behind him and steps in front of me. The two men start to size each other up like buildings. He looks at Caleb with a lot of intensity, daring him to do something. It's fine, I'll go. Just stop it, I said as I pulled Caleb back by his wrist. Caleb, get the car, Sebastian hissed at him. You must be crazy if you think. Shut up and get the car, I said, still looking Sebastian in the eye. I'm not a damsel in need. I could hear the kitchen door open and close, and Caleb listened to me. Sebastian and I were alone, and I hated him. I felt like I was going to explode with rage because of him. I tried to relax by closing my eyes. When I opened them again, he was standing right in front of me. His breath made my cheeks feel warm. Walk, he said. What? I asked. Are you deaf? He yelled, making me jump a little. My legs were shaky as I walked out the door, and they fought to stay upright. Sebastian grabbed my wrist and started pulling me outside because I was walking too slowly. My wrist is going to be bruised. Caleb was already outside with the car parked. He was leaning against it with his arms crossed over his chest. He asked, "Where are you taking her?" "Don't worry about it." Sebastian picked me up and threw me into the passenger seat. I almost hit my head on the roof of the car. "Be careful with her." Caleb stomped over to him and stood chest to chest with him again. Sebastian had a nasty grin on his face that told him to be careful. Caleb got the message and was smart enough to back off. Sebastian laughs and says, "Good boy." "And Caleb, get rid of the bodies," he said firmly. Sebastian got into the driver's seat, and I looked at Caleb, who was looking right back at me. I didn't want to look at him anymore, so I looked down. The car started to move. I leaned back in my seat and wiped away the tears that were starting to form around my eyes. I wanted to scream or pull out my hair, but I didn't want him to know he had won. Has he killed anyone? I asked, wanting to know more about everything. Don't worry, your boyfriend can't even kill a fly. Then why does he work for you? I asked, feeling confused and scared. I found him in Louisiana, and he needed money, so I hired him. Which is? I finally asked, looking at him. He kept his eyes on the road and turned the wheel. None of your goddamn business. I crossed my arms over my chest, stopped asking him questions, and turned back to the window. After that, the car ride was mostly quiet. He didn't talk, and the radio wasn't on. I don't even know where the hell we're going. I should probably ask. What if he's taking me to a hole in the ground to kill me? He wouldn't, would he? Where are we going? Somewhere. He gave me a very short answer that didn't help. Where is somewhere? I asked again, just changing how I asked it. Hotel. Hotel? Damn hotel. I have a life, friends, family, and a mother who is very controlling. I said this angrily. Do you really think your mum doesn't know what I do for a living or where you're going? I don't want to relive my mom's past with you, I said quietly but loud enough for him to hear. Your dad and I are two different men who do business in different ways. Right, you like to kill people in your kitchen. And your dad would just do it behind your guy's back. He smiled, but it was clear he was being sarcastic. I always knew about my dad's business, but he never let my mom and me be a part of it. He kept us safe from that kind of life. Just take me home, I said softly. While he looked up at the thunderous sky, he didn't pay attention to me. We'll have to stay in a hotel tonight. Don't try to change the subject, Sebastian, I said, but he didn't listen. I can't be alone in a hotel room with him. The last time we were alone, I let my mum down and so did he. I sat back down in my seat and pouted. Why does God always have to do this to me? I can see Hotel 6 in big letters across a small building. It's the devil's number. He parked the car close to the door. I looked up at the rain that was covering the sky. I didn't have an umbrella or a jacket. I asked, how am I supposed to get down when it's pouring outside? Simple, you open the door and step outside. He looked confused. You smart. I opened the car door and ran into the hotel, almost slipping on the wet floor. Sebastian walked in slowly, not bothered by the rain. People were looking at me funny, maybe because I almost ate shit right now. One night in a room. He told the man at the front desk, who quickly began typing something into his computer. One room? I won't share a room with you. I crossed my arms over my chest. He is doing this on purpose to make a sick, twisted point. His eyes brighten with interest. Have fun sleeping outside then. He smiled, and a loud noise outside made me jump. Mother Nature is even against me. I am standing at the door of our hotel room with my mom's fiancé, who I have slept with and who has just killed people. What could go wrong? Are you really going to stand there like a statue? I rolled my eyes and shut the door behind me. I tried to hurry to the bathroom, but my hand hit the doorknob before it got there. I couldn't move anymore because Sebastian's hand was in front of me. I yelled, "Move! What's his problem with me? He's getting on my nerves." He whispers in my ear, "Are you nervous?" and it sends shivers down my back. He sadly thought my anger was nervousness, but they mean two different things. Not at all. "Then look me in the eye," he says. I could almost see the smug look on his face in my head. I was so scared to look into his sinful eyes that I couldn't take my eyes off the floor. I finally looked him in the eye, and as I licked my dry, needy lips, I swallowed the big knot in my throat. His eyes fell to my lips, and all of a sudden they sparkled with interest. The air got thick, and I could smell the frustration that was in the room, which made the air toxic and unbearable. He slowly and carefully raised his hand to my cheek. His hand gently brushed my cheek before he forcefully pulled me closer to his lips. Then his hand went down around my neck. "You're my temptation," he said softly. "And I hate you for it." I didn't know what to say, so I just looked into his dark, empty eyes. He turned his head to the left to look outside at the dark, rainy sky. He was so beautiful that I couldn't take my eyes off of him. Everything about him made me think of a Greek god. He still had water droplets on the side of his cheek. I don't know why, but I gently wiped them away with my finger, which made him look back at me. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." He slammed his lips against mine with such force that it felt like he had been waiting to do it. I fought it off at first and tried to get away from him. I pushed his chest with my hands to try to get some space between us, but it didn't work. I should have fought harder, especially since he's been treating me badly, but I just couldn't do it. He had complete control over my body, mind, and almost my soul. My body was a slave to him. I gave up and wrapped my arms around the back of his neck to pull him closer. I kissed him with the same passion while pulling at his shirt, wanting it to be gone. He quickly ripped it off. "Jump!" He grunted against my lips, and I did what he said. I gasped when I felt his hand gripping me tightly and my legs wrapped around his body. He throws me on the bed, and my legs fall open. I took off my shirt as quickly as I could while still kissing him. He helps me by tearing my bra off in the middle like it was nothing. That made me even wetter. He looked like a crazy lion looking for food, and this time I was the food he was looking for. His rough eyes looked over every part of my body. He pulled back and just looked at me. I couldn't wait any longer, so I got up on my knees and moved over to him. My hands ran up his abs as I looked into his eyes with innocent eyes. A sweet smile crept up my lips before I slammed them against his. He reaches down with his hand and grabs my left leg, pulling it up higher with each kiss. Our bodies hit the bed hard, and he uses his elbows to keep his weight balanced so he doesn't hurt me. He kissed me all the way, making my back arch. His lips kept going lower and lower until they got to my jeans. I screamed in pain and pleasure. I don't think I'll be able to feel my legs for a day or two. Was this a punishment? I screamed out. "Arya, why did you do that?" That question keeps coming back to me. I had with him again after I found out he kills people, and he called me a whore just a few hours ago. You're doing a great job, honey. He whispered against my lips, I'm not done with you yet, little one. It made me shiver all over my skin, and I gulped. The bright sun came into the room and shone on my pale, smooth skin. I opened my eyes and turned around slowly to see that I was the only one in the bed. I sat up and held the sheets tightly around my body. I looked around the room for Sebastian but couldn't find him. Then I heard the bathroom door open and in he came, looking great in a black knitted jumper and black jeans. I knew that jumper very well. Where did you get that jumper? I stood up on my knees, and just thinking about last night made my cheeks turn red. Your mum bought it for me. He turned his back to me and picked up his coffee from the table. When my mom said it was for a coworker, she was lying. That's great, I said, now mad that he had worn that jumper after being with me all night. I stood up all the way and tried to walk to the toilet, but he grabbed my hand hard. I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. You're nothing to me but a simple blonde stress relief toy. I love your mother and it's always going to be her, so stop making faces. His voice was full of hate, and he didn't care about me at all. Why did I let him use me again? I wanted to cry. Because you don't know any better and are dumb. Why do I care what shirt he's wearing? He's going to marry my mum, for crying out loud. We both looked at each other, and then I nodded my head and pulled my hand away from his. I opened the bathroom door with my head down, and my hand slowly closed it before I leaned against it. I took very slow breaths in and out, and I was about to cry. Can you leave my clothes on the toilet while I take a shower? He was quiet for a few seconds, and for a second I thought he might have left. Okay, he mumbled. I walked over to the mirror and looked at myself. All I could see was how ugly I am. My hair was a mess and the bags under my eyes were dark. My hair wasn't even the right color, it was more of a yellow color now. There wasn't much to offer because my lips were small and pale. I let go of the sheet that was wrapped around me and looked at every part of my body. I don't have big boobs or a perfect body. I probably have more flaws than my mom. My body looks like it belongs to a boy who is 5 years old. Sebastian makes me question everything about myself, and it hurts me that he has so much power over me. I stepped into the shower and turned on the water. I ran my face under the warm water to try to feel better. I ran my hands through my wet, heavy hair and stared at the checkered wall in front of me. When the bathroom door opened, my heart dropped to me as I tightened my grip on my blonde hair. I pushed my head deeper into the water to try to block out the sound of his movements. The door shut again, and he was gone again. I got out of the shower and dried my face and body. I wrapped the soft towel around my body. My clothes were neatly folded and left on top of the toilet. I rubbed my elbow against the foggy mirror, and I saw my red self. Hurry up, Arya, I heard him yell from the room. I pulled up my jeans, put on a plain hoodie, and put my hair up in a messy bun. When I walked out, he was on the phone and whispering to someone on the other end. But as soon as he saw me, he hung up. Take me home, I whispered to myself. I swear I won't tell anyone about this. I won't even look at you or talk to you again. I'm done, Sebastian. He crossed his arms over his chest and looked at my face for a sign of hesitation, but he couldn't find one. I tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, and his eyes followed my hand, which made me even more nervous. He said, "I can't do that." "Why not?" "I'm not going to say anything. I'll move in with my aunt." "I'll do anything to get away from you," I said angrily. "Doesn't he understand? I can't be near him without hurting my mom or losing myself." He yelled, "You don't get who I am," which made me jump. "I'm a very dangerous person, and I just killed some other very dangerous people. I really don't care, I just want to go home." I yelled even louder, daring him to do something. He said calmly, "If you go home, they'll kill you, and I can't let that happen. Your mom would be broken, and I won't break her again." That sentence made me feel bad, and it hurt me a lot. He cares that my mom is hurt, but he doesn't care how it's affecting me. Right. I turned around so that my back was to him. I felt tears start to fall down my face, so I quickly wiped them away and hugged myself tightly. "I'm just being honest." He let out a sigh, as if he was annoyed with the whole thing. "I'll meet you downstairs by the car," I said very quietly, trying to hide my shaky voice. My feet took me to the door, and I walked out. I sat in the back of Sebastian's car and didn't want to be near him anymore when it beeped. He didn't say anything when he got in the driver's seat. He just looked at me quickly in the rear-view mirror. I put my head against the car window and tried to make sense of the fact that I had been with my mom's fiancé again. How did I get here? Caleb ruined me, but Sebastian is going to kill me and break me until I'm nothing. I saw houses with people inside as we drove by, and it made me want to go home even more. I wish my dad were here so he could tell me what to do and how to deal with this. "We're stopping to eat," I said. "I'm not hungry." "I don't care, I am," he said without hesitation. We stopped in a parking lot with a restaurant across the street. I crossed my arms and legs to show him that I wasn't going to get out of the car without a fight. "Get out, Arya," he said. "Nope, I'm good," I said in a snappy voice. "Arya, if you don't get up and use those long legs of yours, I'll pick you up, throw you over my shoulder, and walk you inside myself." He pointed his finger at me and said, "Do you want strangers to see you? That's fine with me because you think I'm a whore." I smiled and rolled my eyes. "Okay, you said it," he said, and then he got out of the car and opened my door. He reached for my arm, but I pulled away, and my hair fell in front of my face. "Don't even think about it, dingbat." I pushed his hand away. "Is he crazy?" he said. "Good girl." "Don't touch me," I hissed. "Way too late for that, pumpkin." He grinned, and I got out of the car and followed him quietly. The restaurant wasn't fancy at all, it was just a small hole in the wall with some cute decorations. The waiter seemed to be paying attention. She was an older woman with a friendly smile. The nice old lady asked, "What can I get you, kids?" I smiled and looked at Sebastian for help. "What do you want?" I said, "Pancakes with strawberries and blueberries," and I smiled. The woman smiled, took the menus from us, and left. We were back to the awkward silence between us. My eyes were glued to the door that was now opening. A man with a lot of tattoos and piercings walked through the doors. He was staring at Sebastian and me very hard as he walked to his booth behind us. There was something wrong. I looked away from the person and put my hands on my lap. There was definitely something wrong with this man. He was wearing the same black clothes as the men Sebastian killed. Sebastian asked, "What's wrong now?" He could tell I was nervous. "Nothing." My voice came out as a soft whisper. Sebastian kept typing on his phone and not really paying attention to anything while the man in the booth behind me looked suspicious. I slowly reached into my back pocket to get my phone so I could text him about the creepy guy behind me, but before I could do that, the nice lady brought out our food. I kept my hand in my back pocket, frozen, and tried not to move too quickly so I wouldn't draw attention to myself. "Thanks," I said. "No worries," she said in a strong Italian accent. Sebastian began to cut up his pancakes, and I stared blankly at the food in front of me. I kicked him under the table, and he raised an eyebrow at me. I threw my head back and he gave me a strange look. He still didn't get it. I bit my lip out of anger. This guy is a killer, but he's a bad one. I threw my head back even harder, and he peeked his head over the seat while standing up. "Shit," he said quietly. I knew it. I was really nervous. My palms were sweating and my fingers were playing with each other. This would be a terrible way to die, especially with him. That's when the panic set in. Sebastian quickly figured out that my breathing was off. He touched my cheek, which got my attention. He was teaching me how to breathe in and out. I did what he did. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a gun. "No way, oh my God!" I shook my head from side to side, and the hand that was on my cheek was now holding my chin up. "Run," he yells, and I don't waste any time. I tried to get as far away from the table as I could, but I only got a few inches away before the gunshots started. I curled up on the floor and put my head between my knees. I was shaking with fear, but I wasn't being shot at, which was surprising. Someone yelled. I was brave enough to turn around, thinking it was Sebastian, but it wasn't. It was the older woman, and she was lying in a pool of her own blood. I crawled over to her quickly and put my hand on her open wound. She was bleeding a lot, so I put my hand over the cut and pressed down on it to stop the bleeding, but it didn't work. "No," I said. She started to gasp for air and blood started to flow from her mouth. "Don't worry, you'll be fine." Her smile began to fade, and the warmth of her skin turned into bitter coldness. "I can't let her die, I have to do something." I ran over to the shooting range and saw Sebastian hiding behind a table. I didn't need to know this woman to know it was wrong. She had nothing to do with it, but now she's bleeding to death. "Sebastian!" I yelled to get his attention. He saw me and the blood all over my body, and right away he shot the guy in the leg. He fell down. Sebastian hit the man in the head with his gun, knocking him out cold. He runs over to me and puts his hands on my stomach, where her blood is. He thinks it's my blood and that I was shot. "No, no. The lady, she was shot." I stammered as I pulled him towards the lady. He knelt down to feel her pulse, and when he pulled his finger off her neck, his head hung low. I stood there on my two shaky legs, and she was gone. I whispered, "No, I can save her." I pushed him out of the way and knelt down next to her, putting more pressure on her wound. "She's gone, Arya." He says this with no emotion, as if he didn't care at all. He picked me up off the ground and made me stand up while he pulled me away from the women. I raised my hand to slap him across the cheek, and the force of the slap made his head lean down. "It's your fault she's dead," I said angrily, with hot tears streaming down my cheeks. Sebastian looked bored with what I said, and he didn't seem to care about anything that was going on. "I hate you so much," I yelled as I hit his strong chest with both of my small fists. He grabbed both of my wrists, stopping me from hitting him anymore, and pulled me closer to his chest, making my hair wave over us. "I don't care about this woman at all. I'd rather have 10 old ladies than you. I'd kill every old person in this city if it meant you were safe." Sebastian whispers harshly, "You can hate me all you want, but you're still alive, and that's all that matters." His face was only a few inches from mine. His tough face slowly relaxed, and he let go of my wrist. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.